Hi, so my name's Eliana, and I chose to do my cultural artifact presentation on pan dulce, which is a part of my Mexican culture and heritage. So first, I'm gonna go over like a brief history of pan dulce in Mexico. So prior to the 1500s, Aztecs and indigenous peoples in Mexico mostly ate meals made of corn, squash, and beans. But after the Spaniards came and conquered the Aztec capital, they changed many of their ways of life, including the main parts of what they ate, changing corn from wheat was an essential part of the Spanish culture. And indigenous peoples obviously were not happy about this change, but eventually they did begin to eat bread made of wheat when it was dipped in hot chocolate. And hot chocolate had been around for many, many centuries at this point, and they only began to do this because wheat to them was honestly pretty bland. And pan dulce didn't really begin to rise to popularity until the mid 1800s during the French occupation, where French bakers migrated to Mexico and brought their baking traditions with them. The use of flour, yeast, sugar, milks, and eggs. Um, and what really made the pan dulce take off was when they started combining Mexican and French ingredients and techniques to create basically the beginning of panaderias, which are bakeries that are all over Mexico that we know today. So next, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the culture surrounding pan dulces, my experience in the observations I've made surrounding them. So first, I just wanted to say that there are just so many different types of pan dulces out there. Like this is just a very small amount right here, a small handful, but everyone can choose something that they like. So it's very, I don't know, inclusive. So there's like from the buttery orejas to the fluffy conchas to the thick and rich puerquitos, which you can see are in a little pig shape. Puerco means pig. And one thing I just really thought represents the culture surrounding pan dulce is that it's sort of rooted in togetherness and unity in a way. It's because it's meant to be shared. I will say that I've never had an experience where I've eaten pan dulce by myself. Like it's always been with my family, like during breakfast, just drinking like a cup of coffee or milk or something like that. It can be eaten also at any time or at any occasion. I've had them at, big celebratory parties, and I've had them the morning after a funeral when everyone's just sort of trying to bond and mourn together. So, yeah, it really just brings together like a time of bonding and comfort. And that's what I think sort of sums up the culture around pan dulces. And here's just a link to the article that I used for my information. But now I'm going to be switching over to a bit of a baking tutorial that I made on how to make the most popular form of pan dulces in Mexico, which are conchas.
So first you're going to add 2.5 teaspoons of yeast into a half cup of warm milk and set that aside for 10 to 15 minutes. And next you're adding a half cup of sugar to 3 3/4 cups of flour, making sure to also add a half teaspoon of salt into that dry mixture and mixing it thoroughly. And next you're going to add a half cup of unsalted butter to this mixture and 2 eggs. It's important to make sure that the butter is unsalted or else it will mess with the yeast and make the bread not rise. Then the recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, but I always like adding a little bit extra. And you're going to want to mix these in thoroughly with the original dry ingredients, but as you can see, it was not working out well for me. So after a while, I just decided to go in with my hands and mix it all up until it got to a sort of crumbly texture. And once those ingredients were all mixed in, we're going to add in the yeast and milk mixture and mix that in thoroughly as well. And I don't know why I went in and tried the fork again, but yes, after a while, I just went in with my hands and created this dough mixture. And you're going to want to knead this dough for about 7 minutes. You usually do this until it becomes a little bit more soft and malleable and able to stretch. And now you're going to want to oil a pan or a bowl and shape the dough into a ball shape so that we can leave it to rest and double in size for about 2 to 3 hours. So yeah, you're going to cover it in plastic wrap or a towel and leave it in a warm, damp place. And yeah, once it's doubled in size, you're going to want to separate it into 16 small dough balls, slightly pressing them down onto a greased baking sheet. And so sorry, I lost the recording of me making the topping, but I will add the ingredients up above, and you just have to mix them all together until they become a paste and add them to the top of each dough ball. And next you're just going to want to carefully slice the topping into the traditional sort of checkered shape of the concha toppings. And now we're going to put them in the oven for 20 minutes, making sure to switch the baking sheets at 10 minutes to get an even bake on both the top and the bottom. And now they're done, so you're just going to want to leave them out for 5 to 10 minutes to cool off and then enjoy. So yes, I appreciate you watching my cultural artifact presentation. This was very fun to make. Thank you.